Well, all right, guys. My name's Lonnie. I'm a real alcoholic, and so we left off, man. I knew I had to get to the hospital, so I grabbed my fifth, man. I drove to the local emergency room, and sure enough, man, they got me into a bed and detox, and oh, it was bad, man. I was over 20 pounds underweight. My stomach was all messed up. I had some other issues. Liver damage is not, it wasn't fatal, but there's some fatty liver they call it, and there's some scar tissues on my liver. So I got kind of lucky on the physical end, man. I kind of stopped in time, but I got into that detox, and I was at peace, man. I was relaxed. I just finally gave up. It was like I was just so happy that I was separated from alcohol. And I really wasn't all that thrilled about going back to AA. I was just, I knew I just wanted to get separated from alcohol. And there was some hope that if they wanted to send me to treatment, yeah, I'll go to treatment, man. I'll take all I can get at this point. And after about, I don't know, 7 days, maybe 10 days, they gave me the bad news. They said, Lonnie, they said we can't send you to treatment because your Medicaid hadn't been approved yet. Because I didn't have any insurance, I had just filled out the paperwork in detox to get some Medicaid to see if I could go to treatment. And so I cried, man. I broke down. I really did. I was like, well, what do y'all want me to do? I mean, what am I supposed to do? They're like, well, go to some AA meetings. And I was like, man, you don't understand. I want to drink so bad right now. Even after 10 days, I still had this extreme fucking craving. I knew it was uncontrollable. I was nowhere near ready to come back to fucking AA that I still had a resentment against. Um, and I told him, I said, y'all just gave me a death sentence. I said, there's no way I'm gonna walk out of this hospital and stay sober. And I didn't. I walked out. I went right across the street. I got my little half pints of E&J brandy, my iced tea, and I'm driving home. I got me some more, a little over a fifth, and I continued drinking. And that night, man, I tried calling central office. I couldn't get no response there. I don't know. I guess AA fluctuates on how much they want to 12 step people. But I couldn't get a hold of anybody at central office. I called some. I even tried calling New York, man, to see if I could get a hold of somebody with AA in New York. But somehow, about 3 in the morning, I guess it was. I'm all fucked up. I got a hold of some mental health hotline, and I was telling them my predicament. I was like, man, I don't have any insurance. I'm a severe alcoholic. I'm gonna fucking die from this shit. I needed some help. And so I heard the most beautiful words I've ever heard my whole life. They said, no insurance. They said, that's no problem. They said, go back to the emergency room and tell them you're suicidal or you're homicidal, and they gotta put you somewhere. That fucking light bulb went off. I was like, yeah, fucking ain't right. And so I did. I grabbed my fucking fifth and I drove back to that very same hospital. And I got to the ER. I started hollering about I was going to kill my neighbor, right? I didn't want to tell him I was suicidal because I was afraid of like the whole straight jacket thing and shit and take all your clothes and be naked and shit. So I told him I was going to kill my neighbor, but that didn't make any difference. They still put me in a padded room and took all my fucking clothes. But I even got in a fight with a couple techs while I was there. But they got me. They damn sure got me to a mental institution, man. I went to a behavioral health clinic, they call it nowadays. They're not calling it a mental institution. But I got to this behavioral health unit after a few hours, and man, I heard these people cutting up. Man, like one of them was hollering at Jesus, and the other one was best friends with Jesus. And I don't know, somebody was talking to the devil. I mean, just some real odd shit going on out there. And I told the intake nurse, I was like, oh man, I said, I think I made a mistake. I really don't think I need to be here. And the intake nurse said, look, we're going to move you to another facility. It's more like general population. It's not so isolated and it's not so crazy, I guess you might say. So they got me to this other location, and when I got there, I'm checking in, and don't you know it's the same shit, man? Some client is fighting with the techs, and the techs are giving booty juice, and I don't know, some other client's talking to herself, and I'm like, oh man, what the fuck did I do? So I told that same lady, I said, look, I got to get out of here. I said, this ain't for me. I said, I'm not fucking crazy like this. And that lady told me the same thing. She said, Lonnie, look, you got a 72-hour hold on you. We cannot release you for 72 hours. She said, so I suggest you just take it easy and you just relax and get comfortable. And after 72 hours, if you want to leave, you can leave. I said, okay. So, man, don't you know, about the third day of being in there, I was into that shit, man. I was coloring. I was singing the karaoke with the people. I was getting involved with groups, and I was happy. And I think the reason I was happy was because I knew I was safe from alcohol. That was the only time in my life where I had some hope. Well, not in my life, but that was the only time in a long time where I just knew I was safe from alcohol. And if I had to stay in that hospital the rest of my life, well then so be it. I knew that I could not handle being on my own out in the free world and be safe from alcohol. There was just no way. Well, that facility kind of pushed my paperwork through. I got some insurance, and they sent me to a real good treatment center in North Louisiana. And at that treatment center, I picked up the big book again and I started reading it. And something happened. Something I had missed for a long time. I don't know why I didn't remember it. I don't know how I missed it. I don't know if I overlooked it in the 90s. But the doctor's opinion, there is a solution. More about alcoholism. Those 3 chapters right there just grabbed a hold of me like nothing else ever did. It grabbed a hold of my heart and my mind more than any of the spiritual stuff I ever did. When I read those and I fully understood and accepted, now here was the big part, was accepted that I have a disease called alcoholism, that it's an actual biological, physical condition that when I put alcohol in my system, something happens that does not happen to normal people. And for some reason, man, I had missed that. I knew I drank too much. I knew I did stupid shit when I drank. I was always talking about how crazy I was. I was insane. And so, but I had missed this doctor's part. I had missed the physical condition of alcoholism. And not only that, I had missed this part about the mental obsession. I had missed the part where it says that men and women drink for peace and comfort. That I'm irritable, restless, and discontent unless I can have peace and comfort that came from the bottle. So the trick was I needed to find some peace and comfort. And that's what the rest of the steps were offering me. My insanity was not the vehicular homicide. It was not beating the women. It was not going to jail. It was not jumping my truck over the levee. It wasn't all of that stupid shit I was doing. That was not the insanity. That was some oddball fucking behavior. There's no doubt about that. But the insanity was that I continued to control my drinking. That was the great obsession. That was the insanity. That I kept reaching for that bottle. I kept reaching for that first drink. Even in those times that I had sobriety, for be it a few years, be it a few months, I would continue to go back to it because I had no peace, I had no comfort. And so I started getting into this big book again. And I realized that I was a real alcoholic. I was not one of those heavy drinkers, you know. We got the heavy drinkers where they can have pancreatitis. You can send them to the hospital for detox. They can have a drinking habit so bad that it resembles alcoholism. But with these people just have a good reason to stop. They come to AA and they stop. There is no spiritual experience needed. They get in trouble with their jobs. They get in trouble with their wife. They have some physical ailments. Whatever their reason is, they just decide that's it, no more, right? And so I realized I was not one of those people, man. I needed a psychic change and not just a spiritual experience. I had had plenty of fucking spiritual experiences. I needed a psychic change that was going to bring about the recovery from alcoholism. And man, that just kind of blew my mind. It was like, fuck. And so it was a really good treatment center, man. It really did. They did some cognitive behavior therapy stuff, and but but I got turned on with AA again, and all this stuff that I learned from the '90s, man. Everything I learned from Helen and from Bob Allen and Gene, and all of that started just flooding back to me, man, like it was yesterday. And I made up my mind. I did one thing different. I made up my mind that I was going to actually practice what the book said. I was not going to add to it. I wasn't going to take away from it. I was just simply going to do what the book said. Because that book had helped millions. This program has helped millions recover from alcoholism. And some real alcoholics, man. Not just some fucking heavy drinkers that get in a little trouble and decide, oh, I think I need to go to AA because I can't drink no more. A lot of these people, man, you could have signed them up at the fucking gym. Get around a bunch of non-drinking people. You'll be fine, man. And so, so being a real alcoholic, needing a spiritual experience, when I got out of that treatment center, I went to work, man. I really did. I went to work. I came back home to the old dumpy fucking place, and there was that January 6th reading that we read every morning in the treatment center. That staying sober today is the most important thing in my life. And I took that to heart. I didn't give a shit if I had to eat grass. As long as I stayed sober, man, I had a shot for tomorrow. And and so I went to work, man. I knew how to do 4 steps. I knew what the book said to do, and I actually started doing it. I started doing 4 steps. I started doing my 5 steps with sponsors. I got a spiritual advisor. I started doing some things that the book advised me to do. And and don't you know, lo and behold, all of a sudden, the peace started coming. I was I was I was going to doctors, man, and the doctors were amazed. The doctors were amazed at what I was doing, and I was like, "Don't we need to do some treatment or some kind of therapy or something?" You know? And they're like, "No, man. You're doing your AA. You're doing what you need to do. How do you feel?" I'm like, "I'm feeling good." And so for the last 3.5 years, that's what I've been doing. I took that book, I followed the book because the book promised me in a vision for you. It promised me that not only would I recover from alcoholism, not only would I receive power not to drink, not only would I be restored to sanity. I'm no longer insane, guys. I don't know, these people run around 10 fucking years sober, they still insane. I don't know what the fuck they talking about. But no, my sanity has fucking returned. If tempted with alcohol, I can recoil from it as if I'm recoiling from a hot flame. I have been restored to a right state of mind. That is sanity. And so I've been practicing, I've been living in steps 10, 11, and 12. I've been carrying the message. I've been 12-stepping people, sponsors, even people I don't sponsor, man. We hang out, we fellowship, and we carry the message. And it has been the most amazing time frame in my life. This short 3.5 years, I have gotten such a conscious contact with God that it's peaceful. It's not questionable. It's how can I put it? It's real. It's not this positive toxicity that's going around. No, man, we got some bad times in life. We got some good times, but my relationship with God now is in what I actually do. It's not in what I learn. It's not in what I talk about. It's not how I put two and two together. It's not how I interpret the big book or any other spiritual readings. It's what I actually fucking do, man. And what I do is every day I live pages 84 to 88. I guarantee you that. Anything I do above and beyond that ought to be helping me live pages 84 to 88. And so I can tell you that when we get into this book study, we're going to start at step 1. We're going to start at the beginning of the book. We're going to go through it. And hopefully by going through that book, I can give a little bit more experience about these last 3 years, 8 months that I've been through. But for the most part, man, this real alcoholic issue, this first step that I took was fully understanding the nature of my disease, that it's physical. Number 1, Lonnie, you have a physical condition called alcoholism. You cannot drink. Number 2, this mental obsession that I had, this mental obsession where I could not find peace without the alcohol, that's been removed. This spiritual malady I had, to where no matter how much spiritual knowledge I had, no matter how much big book knowledge I had, I could never find peace. Well, that spiritual malady has been overcome because I have found peace in every situation that has come up in the last 3 years and 8 months. And I've been through some shit, man. I've been through some hard stuff. And so maybe we can get into that, a little bit at a time as we go through the book. But I just wanted to qualify myself, guys, and I know I took way too long telling my story. I would never do that from a podium. But I just felt the need to just go through my life as entirely as I can. And of course I left a bunch of stuff out. But I hope you are convinced that, number 1, yes, I too am a real alcoholic. What makes me an alcoholic is not the stupid shit I did. It's the fact that I have a physical condition. I cannot control how much I drink once I get started. And I have this mental obsession that once I stop, I'm irritable, restless, and discontent. I can't find peace without the alcohol. So my mental obsession wants me to go to the alcohol. And this spiritual answer that the program has given me, it's simple. It is easy. We got 7 chapters to cure chronic alcoholism. And yeah, I'm going to say cure because Bill W. said cured in the book. Take it like you want. I really don't give a shit. But we have recovered from alcoholism in only 7 chapters of one book. Psychiatrists couldn't do it. Psychologists couldn't do it. Clergymen couldn't do it. With all their years of education and the multiple books they read, they could not give it to us. This program is so simple and it's so easy, and I hope you guys will stick around. We'll begin the big book study on the next shot, and we'll go through it a portion at a time. And I hope you enjoy it, guys. But I can tell you, I just can't say enough about what this program has done for me. And I just pray, I really pray that somebody gets just as excited, somebody finds recovery like I have, and that we all just find that peace, that reasonable happiness that they talk about, so that we can each stay sober and live one day at a time, man. The drinking problem's been removed. It's a living problem now. And the living problem's a whole lot easier to deal with as long as I'm not drinking. But great guys, I'm glad y'all stuck it out with me this long. So let's get into some book study, and I hope we can all benefit from it. All right. Thank you. Peace out.